What is definition of yourself? How does it connect to the nature of God and true religion? How does it all fit together? Another video on how to live, knowledge and skills you need to create the life you want. The best experience of life possible, and here we are again, how you define yourself. As I said in my previous videos, the most beneficial thing for you as a human being is to define yourself as a soul. Not to define yourself as body-mind. Because as always in human life, there are basically two different directions we can take. One is outward, expanding outward with collecting more and more and more of outward experiences, more pleasures, more material things, more information as in data. And the other one is inwards, like going inwards and collecting and sort of uncovering the knowledge that is inside us. And by that, I don't mean the knowledge of the body-mind, which has its own knowledge, its own memory, but I mean the true knowledge of the soul, of the entity that is non-physical, that is pure consciousness. And recognizing yourself more and more as a soul, as consciousness, and becoming more and more aware of your true nature and who you really are is something that is absolutely practically beneficial. That it will make your life in this reality that we perceive, in this cycle from birth to death, much more satisfying, much more peaceful, much more calm, much more blissful even. It is really one of the most important decisions in your life to make. And once you make this decision, and once you start focusing inwards inside yourself, on your soul, on your consciousness, on your non-physical entity that is inside you, that is limitless, that is eternal, that is part of the cosmic consciousness, that is God, you can live by certain rules and sort of practice certain sort of rituals, if you want, or develop certain sort of habits that will actually help you live the fullest life possible in this one cycle from birth to death, and that might even assure that you get to know yourself so much that you get to acknowledge who you are and your true nature to such an extent that you might even be able to detach yourself from this body totally and become an absolute soul, God, the cosmic consciousness, everything there is. Because when we turn inwards and when we start uncovering the truth and the knowledge inside us, our true nature as a soul, as a consciousness, and becoming more and more and more aware of who we really are, we self-realize ourselves more and more and more. And the people who, as I said it before, who did that to the highest extent, like Jesus and Buddha, were people who became totally detached from their bodies and did not have to come back into this cycle of birth and death. Because the only reason of this cycle of birth and death is to recognize more and more and more your true nature of who you really are. That you're limitless, that you're eternal, that you're not born and you do not die, and that you're not limited to this body. You're attached to this body in this one cycle of from birth to death to give you a possibility to realize yourself, your true nature as much as possible. And the only reason for these cycles of birth and death to go on and on and on is for the soul, for your eternal soul to grow into realization of its true nature, the knowledge of its true nature more and more and more, till one day it becomes totally detached from the body and does not have to come back to these cycles of birth and death. This is the only reason for these cycles, for the soul to realize itself, for you to realize yourself, which is called self-realization, to realize your true nature. It's in all of us. This possibility is in all of us because we are all souls. We are all these non-physical entities, consciousness, that are obviously not very much aware of who we are and our nature, but we have this possibility to become aware of it actually totally, absolutely. So when we worship and when we devote ourselves to uncovering the truth, we turn inwards. We're uncovering the truth that is already inside us, but we're not aware of it, and we are becoming more and more and more aware of it. And in this limited time, while we are in a cycle from birth to death, we should observe certain habits and certain actions and certain way of handling ourselves and conducting ourselves that is in tune with our nature of who we really are. And it is not the body-mind. Body-mind is just a vehicle. It's just a tool, as I always say, that helps us in this physical reality that we perceive, uncovering our inner truth. And this is what we should devote ourselves to. And the more we devote ourselves to this, and the more we turn inwards in a cycle of birth and death, the more happier we will be, the more blissful we will be, the more calm and peaceful and enjoyable our life will become. Because we will become more and more in tune with our true nature. You see, chasing the pleasures, chasing the perceived material things, accumulating them, going up and down all the time when we are, seeking the pleasure, and when we realize that pleasure, and then we go down again, and then we're seeking again, and you know how it is. It just never ends. It never ends. It is not our true nature. That's why it never satisfies us. It is connected with the changeable, totally changeable qualities of body-mind. There is something that comes, there is something that perishes, there is something that is changing all the time, and it can never give us a lasting satisfaction. It has nothing to do with our true nature. That's why all our attempts to sort of live this life outwards and expand outwards and outwards and more and outwards, this is what we're doing in this world at the moment, in this perceived reality at the moment. We're just expanding outwards. We've totally forgotten about the inward knowledge, the uncovering the knowledge inside, expanding inwards instead of expanding outwards. We need to change the direction. And it is not difficult, because with all the amount of people in this world that actually believe that there is something higher than themselves, never mind whether they're sort of part of some recognized religion or not, because most religions in this world have become they have their own purpose and have their own sort of stories and fictions made up around that sort of a religion. But in reality, it is all one true religion, uncovering the truth inside us, uncovering ourselves, and becoming godlike, becoming an absolute cosmic consciousness once we totally realize the truth inside us. It is possible. It is possibility in all of us, in everything. Because once we become consciousness, and once we become aware of who we actually are, our true nature, we will realize that everything is inside us. Everything is inside that consciousness, and everything else is just sort of an apparition, something that appears to be. And it's no point wasting your energy and your time and your efforts on. It will never satisfy you. It will just push you into more and more and more cycles from birth to death, from birth to death, from birth to death. And all these cycles will be in vain if you are not actually turning inwards and uncovering the knowledge inside you, who you really are. The soul and the God, the soul of all souls, the cosmic consciousness, the one true religion, focusing on that. It's in all of us. We can all do it at any time. It does not really depend absolutely at all on outside circumstances or in the qualities or non-qualities of our mind that does not really exist. It doesn't depend on any of that, on our apparition of our bodies. It doesn't depend on any of that. It just depends on the focus and the devotion that we can pour inwards towards recognizing our true nature, our souls, and the God, the soul of all souls. I talk about this a lot because I think that it's time, it's really high time in this perceived reality that we live in at the moment, that we sort of change direction. And it's in all of us, in everything there is this possibility that we can realize, and we should start doing it. We should start focusing on it, and everything else will become so much better once we start doing this. I will leave you with this for today. I just don't want to, put too much into one video. Please follow me. You can support my channel by the ways that I state under the video. I also, under the video, state a lot of names, people who have beautiful YouTube channels and videos who can guide you in the right direction and just help you make something worthwhile out of this cycle from birth to death. I will talk to you soon.